Hey, soul sister, welcome. I hope that everything is running okay. As you're coming on, if you just want to let me know because my computer seems to be refreshing a lot, so I'm not 100% sure how well the connection is. But I'm going to hope that everything is good, and we're just going to dive into the training today, which is going to just be a quick overview of how to trust your intuition more. I'm going to share with you three of the most common questions that I get asked when it comes to intuition and trusting it. And then at the end, we're going to do a quick little exercise just to help you connect more deeply with your intuition. So, one of the things that I notice quite often is people will say that, like, oh, your intuition, you feel it in your gut. And so then for people who don't feel it in their gut, they think that they're doing something wrong or that they don't have an intuition. The truth is, you are born as an intuitive being. You already know what is right and wrong. It is hardwired into you. The only thing that is blocking you from listening to your intuition is the fact we get stuck in our minds so often. We start to overthink things, or we talk ourselves out of it, or we second guess what is coming through. So the first thing to know is your intuition is your built-in GPS. You are already an intuitive being. The second thing to know is not everybody experiences intuitive hits the same way. So like I said, for some people it is a gut feeling. For other people, it's something completely different. Our intuition actually speaks to us through our five senses. And the more we become aware and in tune with our five senses, that's how we actually open up what's commonly called our sixth sense, which is our intuition. So the first thing to figure out your intuition is to start to tune into your senses and notice if your intuitive hits come through visual, if it's something that you're seeing, whether like with your physical eyes or whether it's in your mind's eye. Notice if it's something that you're hearing. Intuition can come through words, can come through songs, can come through anything that we're listening to. We might feel it in our body, right? That's another way, feeling sensations that come to the surface in our body. Or it might come through taste, or it might come through smell. And you could just kind of taste that something is off, or you might smell that something is off. We have that knowing. So the first thing to experience is, what is your strongest sense? And once you understand that, that's when you can start to really tune into, okay, is this my intuition coming through? So one of the questions I get asked a lot is like, how do I know if it's my intuition or if it's fear? So first of all, if it's fear, fear always moves us away from something. Our intuition always guides us towards something. So if you're unsure if it's intuition or fear, just tune in. Okay, is this pushing me away or is it drawing me towards something? And that's a really good indicator to know. Another question that I get asked a lot is, well, what if my intuition's wrong? Your intuition is not going to be wrong. Your intuition is always right. If you think that your intuition is wrong, it's just the fact that you're probably thinking about it, right? You're out of that sense and you're back into your mind, and then you're analyzing it. So there is no right or wrong. It's always going to guide you to what is best for you. Your intuition, it wants you to succeed. It's your own personal cheerleader. It's not going to steer you wrong, I promise. It might steer you outside of your comfort zone, and it probably will, to help you rise and to thrive, but it's never going to steer you wrong. And finally, the last question I get asked is, well, what happens if I ignore my intuition? Like, what's going to happen? Honestly, not too much. You're just going to receive a really powerful lesson where next time you get that intuitive hit, however it comes through, whatever sense you're connecting with, chances are you're going to pay closer attention to what is coming through for you. And so I'll share a really quick story with you. Before I ever considered myself an intuitive being, going back probably about I don't even know, 10 years now, I used to make homemade dog food for my dogs. And I remember this one day I went out, I picked up a piece of meat, I was preparing it for them, getting all of, their side dishes and everything ready. And I very clearly heard, don't feed them the meat. And of course, then in my mind, I'm like, oh, whatever. I'm probably just paranoid. I'm overthinking it. The meat, the expiry date, everything looks fine. So I cooked it up. And again, as I put their plate on the ground, I heard again, don't feed them the meat. And again, there I am being stubborn, being like, oh, whatever. I'm paranoid. No big deal. Fed them the food. The next day, my one dog woke up with really bad diarrhea. Didn't go away, ended up taking him to the vet. Turns out he ended up getting an infection from the food. Okay, so there's a lesson there, right? My lesson, I took it as always listen to my intuition. My intuition very clearly was guiding me towards my dog's best health, but I was too blind to actually see what was happening. And I didn't think it was intuition. I just thought it was some paranoia, right? So if you don't listen to your intuition, it's probably not the end of the world. But the next time you have an intuitive hit, however it comes through, chances are you're going to kind of pay a bit more attention. So it was shortly after that when I started getting more spiritual and, exploring my intuition and that sort of thing. And by no means am I perfect. I'm not. There's still times when I have like an intuitive hit come through and I brush it off and I do something else. And afterwards I'm like, damn it, why didn't I listen, right? Because my intuition is right. So don't beat yourself up, especially as you're developing more trust with your intuition. Just be like, yeah, okay, I hear you. I'm going to listen next time. Because again, your intuition wants you to succeed. Okay, so hopefully that helps connect you a bit more with trusting your intuition, knowing that it's really about connecting with the five senses. Figure what sense is strongest for you, and that is probably how your intuition is going to continue to communicate with you. It will communicate through all five senses, but just learn what is your strongest sense to begin with, and then you can start, opening up and really tuning into the other senses. Know that you can never be wrong, that there's just going to be lessons for you. Remember, your intuition will move you towards something, even if it feels a little scary, even if it's outside your comfort zone, it's moving you towards your highest self. If it's fear, it's going to be moving you away from something. And if you're ever unsure, what my Reiki teacher taught me way back in the day when I was first learning Reiki, and I've lived by this or tried to live by it. Again, I'm not perfect. There's days when I don't listen, but just remember, if it feels light, it's right. Okay, so let's do a really fast exercise. I'll actually do two with you. So the first one, I invite you just to close your eyes. Take a nice deep breath and let it go. And just notice any sensations, whatever's present in your body. Okay, so going on if it's light, it's right. This is an exercise that I tend to teach when I'm teaching Reiki. So I invite you to think of the word hate and invoke that feeling. And I know it can be uncomfortable, but just be present with what's happening. And chances are you start to feel this closing, this resistance, this like your system starts to shut itself down and lock itself down. Okay, so take a nice deep breath in and just let that go. Good, and now I want you to think the word love and start to invoke that feeling, love. Call that in and keep thinking love. And as you do, chances are you start to feel an expansion happen. So as you feel this expansion, this opening, this lightness, right? This is kind of what your intuition feels like. So even if there's that resistance, there's still that like expansiveness. And it's like, okay, yes, I got this. Okay, so if you're ever unsure when you're working with your intuition, just if you can remember this exercise, right? If it feels light, it's right. So feel for that expansiveness. If your main sense is feeling, if it's hearing, it might actually be like this almost opening up of the ears, if that makes any sense. Like If it happens, you'll know what I'm talking about. Okay, so let's move into a really quick exercise now just to help you bring you more into your body and to connect with what sense is most dominant for you to really hone in and make that connection with your intuition, okay? So just closing your eyes again, letting your hands rest wherever is comfortable for you. And again, we'll start by taking a nice deep breath and letting it go. And in your mind's eye now, I invite you to see yourself. So in your mind's eye, there you are, exactly as you are physically right now. And before you, there is an elevator or an escalator, whatever you're most comfortable with. And so you stand up and you walk over to either the elevator or the escalator, and you get on. And you see that there is a heart. So if you're in the elevator, pressing the heart button. If you're on the escalator is already lined with hearts. And so you start to go down, going down further, passing through your throat chakra. As your awareness continues to drop down into your heart center. And finally arriving at your heart center, stepping into your heart and feeling the love that is all around you, feeling the expansiveness, feeling the beauty. And now in this space, knowing that you are fully connected with your heart and your body, simply asking, what sense does my intuition communicate with me? What sense does my intuition communicate? And from your heart, knowing that the answer will come. And for some of you, it might come right away. For some of you, it might not. And either way, it is perfect. Either way, it is beautiful. So just staying with that question and taking another breath. And as you're ready, you can open your eyes, coming back into this space. So you can go ahead and you can repeat that, spend more time in your heart, and knowing that you can really connect with your intuition that way. Just by doing that quick exercise of dropping down into your heart, and then you can ask yourself any question. One of my favorite questions to ask is, what is my next step? And then simply listen and follow whatever you feel called to do, whatever that next step is. And that next step will come through your intuition, whatever sense is your dominant sense. So when it comes to trusting your intuition, it literally is just building up that trust one day at a time, one exercise at a time, and it starts to accumulate until you are living in trust, until you trust that thought or what you hear and you take aligned action towards whatever your goals are. So the important thing is to show up, to keep doing the work to tune into your intuition as often as you can remember to throughout the day, and that will really help build up the trust. Of course, if you have any questions, please drop them in the comments and I will get back to you. I really hope that you found this helpful and I will see you again very soon. Sending you so much love. Bye for now.